Broadcasting from the basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Fall Jersey. Joe Archino back here, and one of the most talented minds in basketball now has found work again, and it's really not a surprise to anyone. And I think for everyone who looked at all the situations across the NBA and looked at where was open, Minnesota was the most attractive spot by far, and Tom Thibodeau has now found himself as the new head coach and president of that team. And it's funny that you say it, that Minnesota is the most attractive spot, but it really is, and it really does come down to they've just been in the position where they've been so bad for so long that they just kept on drafting player after player after player in such a high spot that now it has finally paid off for them because they have a core in place. In the NBA, you either have to be really, really, really good with a position to get to the finals, or you just need to be really, really, really bad and draft tremendous players because there's no in-between in the NBA. Being one of those middleman teams like the Toronto Raptors or a team that's stuck in that 7, 8, 6 seed spot, you're never going to win anything of relevance, and it's terrible to be in that position. In the NBA, there's really only two ways to look at it. But now the Timberwolves, they've got something interesting here. You bring in a coach like a Tom Thibodeau, who I don't think we've seen many like him, with their ability to elevate everyone around him, and that's really what he did. I mean, you look at what he did to transform Joakim Noah's game to the next level, how he took Jimmy Butler and made Jimmy Butler into what he is now. Almost every player on the Chicago Bulls that he had, he made them better. He just elevated their game. He made them work harder. Defensively, his teams were incredible, and really, the way that we saw the Bulls implode this season is a direct reflection of him not being there. It just is. They pushed him out of the way. They pushed him out the door, and now he gets handed into a situation where the Minnesota Timberwolves have always needed a Tom Thibodeau. They've needed a strong presence to mold the vision and to set the culture because that's something that they have never had. They've never had the right culture in place, and a lot of that can be changed with the right person. And I think Tom Thibodeau is the exact guy who can change that culture, can put something in place that could last a long time. And he's got the personnel to do it. And the hardest challenge in the NBA is getting that personnel. But he's not just going to make the talent they have there better. He's going to make their secondary players they have there better. And they already have the core duo of Wiggins and Towns. And I think Wiggins and Towns are just tremendous, tremendous talents. Towns is the exact epitome of what you need out of a big man in today's NBA. Shows extreme versatility, can hit a shot from anywhere, plays both ends of the floor, really a guy who just does everything. And I think when you look at the way that the NBA is today, that's the breed of what wins. And Wiggins is the exact same thing, a tremendously versatile player. You knew it when the Cleveland Cavaliers drafted him. It was a tough situation trading Kevin Love to get him, trading him away for Kevin Love, but in the end, for a short window to win now, I still think it was the right move because Wiggins, it was going to take him more time, but he's going to be a tremendous player. And with Thibodeau there, you've got the right man in place. His contract, his details, 5 years, $40 million, and really, I think the biggest thing, we all wanted this to happen. We all looked across the NBA, looked at what was open, and said, this is an easy decision. This is the most attractive position out there. It's got the most talent. It's got young talent ready to be guided to the next level. And Tom Thibodeau, we only just wondered, would the Timberwolves make the financial commitment that was necessary to get a coach of his caliber? And as we kind of see now, that's exactly what happened. Now, we always heard reports that Thibodeau had always had interest in the Knicks, that the Knicks were always a team that he desired, expressed an interest in to be the main guy there, but it didn't happen. And I think more than anything, we didn't really hear a ton of reports out there saying that Phil Jackson had a ton of interest in bringing him in, but it was an easy choice for the Knicks. He was the best coach available, and we still continue to see Phil Jackson go after guys who he wants to use his system for. And the Knicks are a whole different discussion for another day, but the Timberwolves are kind of a perfect example when you're talking about the Knicks, because the Knicks are so stubborn and stuck in their ways, and they're not willing to change them. And the Timberwolves, Glenn Taylor, their owner, was like that for a long time. He was stuck in his ways, just showed the total inability of how to run a franchise. But he kind of sees it now and has changed his ways, and now he's done what it's taken, and the rewards are there. The Timberwolves don't necessarily get the wins to translate this season, but they've got a core values in place with the players they have now. Now that they have a guy like Tom Thibodeau, he can use his model of success, translate it to those players, and it's really looking up very brightly for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'd say more brightly now than things ever have for that team. Even with Kevin Garnett, when he was in his dominant run, when he won his MVP with the Timberwolves, he still didn't have the help. They didn't have the cultural foundation to win anything of significance. But now things have changed dramatically overnight. Tom Thibodeau is a game changer for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I really think the Bulls, it just didn't make sense why they would fire Thibodeau, other than the fact that the ownership and everyone else just tried to push him out of the way, put all the team's troubles on him. That was not the case. As you saw this season, things imploded dramatically. He has a rare ability that many coaches don't have in this league, where they just make every player they have better. They make them work harder, and I think that's the biggest testament you could say about Thibodeau. And one thing Joakim Noah always stresses, he made me work harder. He put accountability on me, and that made me want to work harder. And I think Tom Thibodeau changes the landscape for the Timberwolves, and teams like the Knicks continue to be stuck in their ways, and they're not willing to look past things and be progressive and go out there and get a name like Thibodeau instead of being stuck to a system and going to a coach who's going to try things differently. And right now we see the Lakers, there's a report that they missed their chance on Thibodeau. The Knicks and the Lakers are it's incredible when you think about it. The traditional powers of the NBA obviously include the Lakers and the Knicks, but a guy like Thibodeau, who's the most attractive coach out there on the market, he opts for the Minnesota Timberwolves. No discussion with the Lakers, no discussion with the Knicks. That right there tells you all you need to know about where the game is today. 10 years ago, never even would have been an idea of going to the Timberwolves over a team like the Knicks or the Lakers. But the landscape of the league has changed. It has changed dramatically, and being built on the name and the history doesn't mean as much anymore. People are looking to be progressive, and young teams who might not have been built on the same success have that progressive ideas. And players like Wiggins, players like Towns, they have the hook. And Thibodeau, obviously, they hooked him onto their team, and now they are really in a tremendous position, because the West, the last few seasons, has been tremendously difficult to navigate through. It's still very top-heavy, but there's so much more wiggle room now towards the bottom than there was. And if you're asking right now, do the Timberwolves have a chance in Thibodeau's first full season to make the playoffs? I think you've absolutely got to say that they do, because, again, they have the youth intact. Now with Thibodeau having say over personnel matters, they're going to fill out their roster the right way. Just having a guy like that changes every level of your organization. It makes you draft better players. It makes your off-season workout programs better. It makes your players smarter. Everything you do as an organization will get better. And I think the Timberwolves, things have never looked brighter for them. And until then, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll see everybody next time.